Good morning and welcome to Legally Speaking with attorney Antoinette Osbourne. This program is for information purposes only. If you need legal advice, you can contact me, Antoinette Osbourne, at 718-502-9137. That's 718-502-9137. The office focuses on divorce. Sure. Oh, what's going on? Okay, let's do this again. The office focuses on divorce, immigration, bankruptcy, real estate, and estate matters. We also do eviction proceedings. There is a second office in Jamaica, West Indies, that focuses on legal representation. If you are looking to buy or sell property, or if you are looking to wrap up an estate. Now, there has been some updates to the parole in place, which was announced on June 18th. So the good news is that beginning next month, which is starts next week, but on August 19th, USCIS is going to be accepting applications for the parole in place, which was announced, where it would benefit spouses of US citizens who have been in this country for 10 years or more as of June 17th. If you've been in the United States since June 17th for 10 years or more, USCIS has estimated that it's about 500,000 people. I sincerely believe it's more, right? So the focus is on these spouses of US citizens who have no legal proof of their entry, whether they were a border crosser or, they snuck into the country without proof of their entry. This is to benefit those people where prior to this, they would have had to apply for a waiver and interview outside the country. So with this change that the White House has done, it's going to benefit US citizens who have been in the United States without any form of admission or parole documents. Generally, you're looking at people who they never had a visa, they weren't able to come in with either a visa or a visa waiver program. They just entered, they don't have any proof. So people who were in cars coming in from Canada, they have no proof that they entered. People who snuck across the border, this is going to benefit those people. However, there are certain conditions that are in place that must be fulfilled before you will be able to benefit from this. So it's not just everyone, and I don't want people who have no proof of their entry think that they automatically qualify. There are certain restrictions that are in place and you must benefit. And the reason I'm focusing on this again is they have now set a date of August 19th where they will be accepting these applications. The forms have not been in place as yet. So for anyone who is taking monies from people to say that they're going to process your application, I want you to be so cautious of immigration fraud. The scammers, immigration itself has set forth certain things that you must look for to kind of alert you that you are being scammed. We'll get into that later, but right now we're focusing once again on the criteria, because the good news is come August 19th, these people who are able to benefit from the parole in place And so far, I've not seen any challenges to this. I'm not aware of it. But what is happening is come August 19th, once you are able to satisfy these conditions, you are able to file your application. The forms are not out as yet. The fees for this application is not out as yet. So, as a result of which, no one, because I know fellow immigrants, we are so susceptible to scamming. And I want you to be able to hear the criteria. You must fall within the provisions. One, you have to be physically present in the United States as of June 17, 2024. So that means you are in the United States. You weren't overseas, you weren't in Mexico trying to cross the border, you weren't trying to see, you were already in the United States. In addition, you must have been in the US as of June 17th. So when you look at June 17th, you must, morning Flavia, you must have been present in the US for 10 years. And this is where a lot of people are not going to fall within the criteria. And generally, there is a 5-year provision. However, the main aim of this, from their research, is that you had people here like 23 years and no papers, and they're married to US citizens. So this was basically done in mind to benefit people who have been here with some longevity. They have established roots. So when you counting backwards from June 17, 2024, you are able to see that they've been in the United States for 10 years. So it's mainly to benefit people who have sown their roots. They have basically become a stalwart in their community. They're here so long, they are well established. So you're trying to benefit those people so they don't have to apply for waivers. They don't have to go back to their home country just because they didn't have proof of entry, right? So if you came in on a visa, this does not benefit you. This is to benefit people who otherwise they can't show that they were lawfully admitted. So there is no proof of any sort of entry. There's no proof of an admission. There's no proof of a parole. So as of June 17, 2024, you're basically in unlawful status, right? So you have no documents to prove that you were admitted into the United States. There's nobody inspected you, right? So you have no proof of your entry. This program is specifically geared to benefit those people, right? So another aspect of this is that you must be married to a US citizen, not a green card holder, but a US citizen as of June 17, 2024. It's so important that these dates, they are set in stone. And when you are looking to see whether or not you are eligible, I want you to bear in mind these dates. There is no flexibility with it. The date has already been stated. It's not going to change. You must focus on that June 17th date. It's so important because it requires being present as of June 17, 2024, being married to a US citizen as of June 17, 2024. So you are not married to a green card holder or you are about to get married. That's not gonna work. Yeah. And for people who are in these homes for years with their fiancés, my personal take, you can't be a fiancé more than a year. It's either the person is waiting on the right person to come. Yeah, you're just like the stand-in. I don't understand these long engagements. I had a client once and I'm like, this is going to come up at the interview. You get an officer like me, I'm gonna suspect that if I was ever on the other side and I had to adjudicate this case and you've been engaged for so many years, yeah, I smell a rat. I can't understand these long engagements, right? And if you were in that position where unfortunately you were engaged and you are not married on June 17th, you're not going to benefit from this. Yeah. And I think one of the focus should be on family, getting ahead with your life, starting your life, establishing your family. This past a year, I call it a con system. I sincerely believe it is such a con system. And if you are in that position where you are in fact engaged and not married as of June 17th, you don't get to benefit from this. And it breaks my heart. Good morning, Tracy. Good morning, Michelle. It breaks my heart. People sit down in these nonsensical relationships, uh, taking on an engagement for years. And guess what? If that was your story as of June 17th, you were just a mere fiance, no legal rights, just a mere fiance, you did not benefit from this Biden Harris change. And it's sad because you have people here who have been sitting in relationships for years, and some of them are not even engaged. And I just think you have the patience of Job. You're going to be with someone and you're not married, you're not putting yourself in a position to economically benefit in the event of adverse circumstances such as divorce or death. You're just a mere girlfriend. There are no economic benefits here. Yeah. And I want people to realize there's true power in being a spouse. Yeah. This girlfriend thing doesn't work for you. And if you are in that position as of June 17, 2024, you're not gonna reap the benefits, right, of this parole in place. And it's so sad because you have people who have been here for years without status. I have people come to me who are in a situation where they've been here from the 70s. And one of the most alarming things to me is if you've been here from the 70s, you were here when amnesty took place. But this is why we have to be very careful of things we do in our youth, because it does come and it hurts us. And you have people here for years who, unfortunately, they just cannot adjust because of their criminal convictions. And this is another factor that is going to take place. I want you to bear in mind where, in reality, this parole in place, the purpose of it is to move on to a path for a green card. That's the main purpose. You know, you have people here who have been in the United States for years and there's no headway for them. There's no possibility to get a work permit. They can't get advanced parole. They don't have any relief. And they are here in their marriages for years. And what you'll find is there's no real movement for them, where with PayPal's economically you can find employment where oftentimes it provides benefits. There is also a higher income. You're contributing to the tax system. So this is really a way to solidify and get both spouses working together in their marriage, moving forward, right? It's difficult because when you have a mixed household, and what do I refer by mixed? I'm referring to people where one spouse has legal status and then the other spouse does not. And when you file that joint taxes together, you don't benefit from that earned income credit. And it's hard. You want people to move along in their marriages, right? And this is such a blessing for people who have been together right? They're not saying you have to be married for 10 years or more. They're just saying you must be married as of June 17th, but you must be in the country for at least 10 years. So we're not looking, which is such a blessing. We're not looking on long-term marriages. We're just looking for longevity, your physical presence in the United States. So you could just have gotten married on June 16th. Doesn't matter. Once you've been here in the United States, physically present for 10 years or more, this is a wonderful thing for you, because where you had no proof of entry, you now have the ability to get parole. And this is going to help a lot of people, because with parole comes the work permit. And hopefully it will be that 5-year work permit. I remember when work permits were just a year. Yeah. 1 year, that's it. Then it moved to 2 years, right? Because the processing of the work permit was taking so long. But no, the work permit is for a 5-year period. This is such a blessing to people, right? So here it is. Not only are you going to get the ability where you can move to a green card, you are also going to get a work permit with it, and the ability, once you have gotten parole, to move to an adjustment of status. It saves you, and I'll tell you this. I had a client who recently went down because she had her waiver approved. Now, the difficulty in getting your medical on time and then waiting on a decision just to have that for you to be called in to come and pick up your passport, right? And for people who have been in the United States, especially since they've been like very young, right? What is happening is they have no close family members or friends that they can go and say, hey, I'm gonna process my papers. Can I stay with you for a certain time? They don't have that connection where most of their families have migrated. So guess what? You're going into an Airbnb and it's gonna cost. And it was good for my client that the host of the Airbnb could have accommodated them for the additional time it took for her passport to be issued. But these things are quite costly. And when you don't have the funds, and let's say average Airbnb anywhere from like 80 up, and you're doing that per night, it costs. And this is why this is in fact so beneficial for people. They don't have to sustain this expense. You're here, and once you qualify for the parole in place, guess what? You pick up here. You get your parole in place. Once it's been approved, you apply for your adjustment of status. Yeah? I think this is such a benefit to people. I think one of the focus groups that they were focusing on were the Latinos, but in essence, it will benefit other people who have been here, right? All right, so a legal marriage. You must be in a legal marriage. So if you're with someone and your spouse is married to somebody else prior to marrying you, and that person did not get divorced, you're not in a legal marriage. And I want to encourage people, if you're with someone and they're honest enough, because not everybody is going to be honest with you. And what I'm finding now, often clients are doing background checks on people they're dating, even when immigration is not a part of it. You have some people who are really vested, and they're looking to start their families. They are looking to build life with someone, and they don't want the additional drama. And we have to realize we are in a melting pot. Some people are not just dating their own culture, their own race, and they are stepping out, right? And I think both genders are saying that a good person is hard to find. So people are at a point where they're not wasting time. They want to build with someone, but in starting a foundation, they want to ensure that that playing field is leveled, and you take people as they are. But I would encourage anyone, do not do this in the society that we have today, in the lack of morals and the lack of value system that exists today. I am so going to encourage you. You've met someone. This person has not been referred. It's a complete stranger off the street. I'm going to encourage you, do your research before you get emotionally invested in the person. Because we all know, once you're emotionally invested, you look past a lot of things. And this is we're in a time now, I swear, these are the end of days. The things that you actually see that's happening, it's scary. So you have to be in a legally valid marriage. And if someone is bringing you a decree nisi, because their jurisdiction does decree nisi and decree absolute, I want you to look for a decree absolute. Yeah. I want you to look, if you're in New York, anyone bringing a divorce from family court, you know that person is not divorced, because family court in New York does not issue divorces. Supreme Court has sole authority over divorces. So don't just let them bring you a piece of paper. You need to look at what is being presented to you. Your divorce should, if it's a New York divorce, it should be coming out of the Supreme Court. Yeah? And the reason I'm doing this is I find that people are meeting people and they're scammers. They're absolute fraud. And I want to protect someone from a drunk crow. I want to protect you from a waste man. I want to protect you from a Jezebel, because they're out there. And that's the reality of what is taking place, right? So we want to ensure that you're in a valid marriage. And hopefully your spouse has not divorced you behind your back. You have people living in the same house, and you cannot believe the nonsense that is going on for two people who are living together. And these are the things that is happening under your roof. It makes no sense to me, right? Now, another important thing we have to look at is that you should not have any disqualifying criminal history. So not because this rule came out, not because you've been here for 10 years, not because you're married to a US citizen and you fit the criteria where you have absolutely no proof of your entry, does it mean that you're going to get the parole in place. Your background, yeah? So pretty face and bad character. I've had so many, and this I find mainly with the ladies. Beautiful girls come into my office. When you take out the conviction, the whole of them are thief. I don't understand it. The whole of them are some conviction with petty larceny. Yeah? Your background makes sense. Not a petty larceny. Petty larceny should not be able to stop you from a green card. You know, often it falls within the petty offense exception. But say you don't need a waiver. But I'm just encouraging, stay on the right-hand side of the law. That's the only way I can put it. Yeah? Watch your friends when you're going with them. They're going into the mall. Yet still them a thief. Watch them. Yeah? Watch when they come and they're dropping certain things in your bag. No, tell them to hold on to it till you come outside the store. Hopefully they're not going to catch up to you then say you're not getting a receiving charge. But I don't understand. I want you to live your life, yeah, where try to live your life like you want to go into the kingdom of heaven. Forget immigration. Try to live your life, so yeah. Protect yourself. I want you to benefit. I want when changes do come that you are eligible to take advantage of them. Yeah. So criminal conviction, if you have, and the guidelines have not come out as yet. Yeah. But from August 19th, the forms are going to be out. The fees are going to be out. If you send in your application, I don't know how you could send in an application when the forms are not even out as yet and the fees are not out as yet. But you have the scammers out there who is going to take your money and state that they are in fact putting in an application for you. Never forget those people, right? So in addition to all of this, yeah, and of course you must not be a threat to national security. Watch your friends that you keep, watch who you associate with. Yeah. I have a lady in mind that I want to bring her on so that she can share her story, because the main purpose of this program is to help our community, right? I find that information is not often shared. I have no problem sharing information. I have colleagues who call and we share information. Yet you'll have people who they probably in your job, probably at school, they will not share information. I've always, you want my notes, I'll provide you with my notes. I have no problem with it. But information is not readily shared. Yeah. And it amazes me as to the difficulty people have in just being kind and sharing information. All right, so let's look at the kids now. What I find with the kids is that they did not put a timeline for the children. Notice a spouse has to be physically present in the United States for 10 years. With that immigrant child, there is no timeline for them. This is fantastic. So the time restriction has not been placed on the child. We don't know what's going to come out when the final regs come out, but at this point, I'm not seeing any time restriction. And this is such a blessing. Yeah. So that stepchild of the US citizen, mother fits the criteria, the child will benefit. There's no time restriction that the child has to be here for 10 years, but that child must be a child. So the definition of stepchild is that you have married the parent before that child's 18th birthday, right? Because you still, no matter what, have to fulfill the definition of a stepchild. So you must have been married to that immigrant before that child's 18th birthday. And that child must be under 21. So some children are going to benefit from this. All right. A reminder. The Federal Register notice has not been published yet, right? Giving their full guidelines, giving the forms have not been created yet, the fees have not been issued yet. The door opens on August 19th for these applications to be submitted. You're not able to submit this application before August 19th. So I really want you to bear this in mind. Someone is coming to you, pressuring you for monies, and you want to get your application in before the floodgates open. The forms have not been issued. The fees have not been determined. And the reason I keep emphasizing this is because you're going to have that rat bait out there who is going to come and scam you, take your monies, stating they can provide you with certain benefits. Nothing has been issued yet. We are just going on the general guidelines that came down from the White House when this was stated by President Biden. All right. So We want you to start putting together your documents. So even though the forms are not out there, the fee is not out there, we still want you to start putting documents, because we know physical presence is mandated, that you have to show that you were present. And people will think living in the shadows benefits them. I want immigrants to stop living in the shadows, because when things like this happen and a benefit arises where you can take part of, right? And it can be such a blessing to your family. You living in the shadows does not help you. And I want you to be able to realize this. Yeah. So let's take a look at this. In New York and for most states, your immigration status is not relevant for a driver's license. And Maryland started this a long time ago. When I was living in Maryland, about I think 19 years ago, when I used to live in Maryland, Maryland had the ability where you didn't have to have legal status to get a driver's license. I think it occurred then. But anyway, Maryland has been doing this for a long time. I find Maryland to be a very progressive state, especially for Black people. Whew. Prince George's County and Black people, you need to see some of the houses that's in Prince George's County. Beautiful. All right. So for those of you who you can drive or you're looking to drive, you live in New York, Connecticut has, I think New Haven started this first, but Connecticut has a way to do this. There are so many states that you can get a driver's license and your immigration status, especially the blue states. They are giving you the ability to get a driver's license without immigration status. Go and get your driver's license. Stop driving on driver's license from your home countries, because you're being treated as if you are driving without a license. If you have the ability to get a driver's license, it's an official form of ID. However, with a real ID act taking place, it's sometime next year. I think it's probably May 2025. You're not going to be able to board a plane with the driver's license where it is endorsed not for federal purposes. Yeah. But right now, go and get your driver's license. It shows physical presence. On the day you applied for your driver's license, it shows you were here. If you renewed your driver's license, it shows physical presence. And I'm encouraging everyone who is driving, even if you don't have a car. You know, I used to have a Facebook friend. She took a picture of her key. And she took a picture of a key of a car because she never have a car. Make her get rich. She never have a car. But you can't look at where you are today in life to determine how the rest of your life is going to be. You have a goal. You have to be yourself motivated. Motivate yourself, right? So you want a car. Get the key ring with the car. You have to take little steps before you can actually reach to your goal. You have to motivate yourself. There's no way you can have a goal and you're not taking the necessary steps or encouraging yourself to achieve it. Yeah. I think, Steffi, good morning, Steffi, my darling. Yeah. So I want to encourage you, right? You have to put these things. Living in the shadow does not benefit you as an immigrant where there is any change in the rules that can provide you with some form of status, right? So another thing that I'm focusing now on the documents, because remember, you have to prove you were here. You have to prove physical presence. If you've had children here, right? And this is where I would encourage anyone, make sure your name is on that birth certificate. It shows you are physically present here. Make sure your name is on that birth certificate for your children. Yeah. For men, and it's kind of tough when I'm telling men this. The reason being, if it's not your child, you've just acknowledged paternity. So even if As a man, you don't want to put your name on the birth certificate right away. You want to make sure you can do a little DNA test and ensure that that child is yours. It's hard for me to go ahead and tell men, put your name on the birth certificate, where some of you are unfortunately going to be in a position where you're going to get a jacket. And I think the US Embassy, unfortunately, boss a lot of Jamaican women when they said, I think it's either 40% or 1/3 of the kids we're not, oh my God. We're not the men's. Tough. Yeah? But this is not the life I want for you. I'm hoping you would have found someone who wanted to build a life with you and who was absolutely faithful. Yeah, but it's tough for me to tell a men that, quickly as a child is born, try and get a DNA. Once it's your child, put your name on the birth certificate. Women, do not be offended when the men ask for a DNA. Do not. They're getting scammed a lot. I don't think, if I had a child for somebody and they came and they wanted a DNA, I'll tell you what happened. I had a girlfriend where we're going into court because all of a sudden now the guy's claiming that he's not the father, right? Of course, you're with her and you're representing her, and then outside the courtroom you say, yes, my friend, and I know she's as decent as they come. But me after you sure for your pitney? She said, let's do the test. I have nothing to hide. Yeah, and it was his child. You don't care. Yeah. This is gonna be like the more show where for once you are the father. All right, so passports, right? Your spouse is gonna need proof of US citizenship. So how does he do that? His birth certificate, his ID, along with the birth certificate, because we need a picture with the ID, his passport, or his certificate of naturalization. Yeah. So we want to ensure that your person is a US citizen. Can't encourage you enough. Make sure. I've had clients come to me and they're coming in for a conference. This is prior to even thinking of filing, and I'm telling them the documents they would need. And when I turn to the person who's supposed to be the US citizen and I'm asking them the documents, sometimes this is where I find out the person is not a US citizen. I don't see how you're dating someone and you're pretending to be who you are not. But it happens. People lie. And I think one of the things that you learn here living in this country, I'm not saying that when you're outside your own countries, you don't have people who lie. But I don't know. I think sometimes it's in the water here where people pretend to be who they are not. So don't just go by face value where someone says to you and they represent that they are a US citizen. I don't want you to just take them at face value. Look at the documentation. I don't think you should have anything to hide, where if you say you have a certain status, then you shouldn't have a difficulty proving this status. And I don't want you to fall for just the fact that the person has an American accent. You are going to believe that they are citizens. You have kids who came here who are very young, absolutely very young. And I'll tell you this, sometimes they don't even know that they have absolutely no papers. They grow up with their colleagues who are American and they believe that they are citizens. And this is why I have to point fingers at the parents of immigrant children. You need to let the children know their status. Sometimes they hang out with the wrong crowd, and here it is that your children are in jeopardy. Thank God for New York, where the juvie offenses, once a juvie offense, it really, a youthful offender offense doesn't count for immigration purposes. But you have to let your kids know their status. Yeah. All right. So we want to focus on things that you should be putting down. The rules have not come out as yet, but we want you to start putting down your documents. Immigrants, start putting down your passports, your birth certificates. Put it down. You're going to need it for the application process, right? you must have a marriage certificate. Yeah, so you must be married. This is a criteria. So you must, and it doesn't matter where you were married, but you have to understand, especially in New York, New York gives the full faith and credit. So as long as where you got married, and immigration does too, as long as where you got married, it is valid according to the laws of that country, right? And this is why immigration sometimes will look at some traditional marriages, because some traditional marriages are in fact marriages. So once your marriage has taken place according to the law where it was actually performed, then immigration recognizes that marriage as a valid marriage, right? So we're looking at the fact that put on your marriage certificate, right? If you've lost your marriage certificate, this should be the time where you should be applying to get back a copy of that marriage certificate, right? Because we have to focus on your identity documents. So the US citizen, you're going to have proof of your citizenship, birth certificate, copy of your ID, passport, certificate of naturalization, consular report of that US citizen born abroad. These are the documents that will show your citizenship, or your certificate of citizenship if you were a child who you derived citizenship from your parent. So those are your citizenship documents. So the immigrant, if you have an I-94, this is not going to benefit you, because we're looking for people who specifically have entered without permission, right? Those are the people we are looking to benefit. So if you have proof of entry, this parole in place is not for you. It's being focused for people who have absolute no proof of their entry into the United States. Yeah, and they must not have had any legal status on the day that this announcement was made. All right, now let's look at, you want to prove that you've been here. You want to prove that you have lived here for 10 years plus. There is continuous presence. So what are you looking for? Let's look at your rent receipts, right? They don't really like these affidavits, but if you have your rent receipt, you may need to get an affidavit from your landlord. Stop throwing away your leases, because sometimes the problem is you and your landlord kick off because you're not paying the people them your rent, and rightfully so, they're not gonna give you a copy of their lease. Yeah, they're not gonna give you copies of their old rent receipts. You're living in the people's houses and you're living for free. So they're not going to provide you with documents. So I'm going to encourage you to live peacefully, so you have your rent receipts and so forth, right? Let's look at your school records. Some people are kids who people came here when they're very young, and having come here, they went to school. And I'll tell you this. I had a client came here with her mom, and when she came, they were living, what is that island? Guadeloupe. People from Guadeloupe are French citizens. Yeah, they have a French passport. Anyway, so she came with her mom, and when she came with her mom, they're just visiting, right? Mom says, you're not coming back with me, you're gonna stay with my brother. Just like that. Yeah, just like that. You're not coming back with me. You're gonna stay with my brother. So she stayed. The problem is now, and this is a young lady who has lived, she's married to a US citizen, lived with her husband for years. She has no proof of her entry. And she went to a preparer, and they put in for an adjustment of stat. I think they put it in for her. And it's like, what are you putting in? You have nothing. So at this point, she came to me and she told me a story. I'm like, No, we must can get this I-94. Oh, you want to cross in seat here. So we applied, but the date she gave me was wrong. And, back in the day, if you weren't sure, they would just, I think, issue on your last date. That thing got denied so fast. So then, all right, so you're saying she came in on X date. So me gonna reapply, cause you tell me this is the date you have. So we reapplied. Box said, who tell me for do that? So reapply, now we get requisition. Prove to us that you actually came in. What do you mean prove to you? You have my records. You tell me that I came in on X date. What am I supposed to prove to you? May I have to go get school record. Yeah, so this is why when the kids come and they are school age, make them go to school. This is proof of their physical presence. And I found this to be, are you kidding me right now? Yeah, but I have to say, and you know what was so hard? The school closed down. Jesus Christ. No joke. This is a nonsense. The school closed down. So we have to find out now how to get her records because the school is closed. Eventually, we were able to get the records. And we send back for them own decision where they denied it because they said she came on X date. So finally, we were able to get that replacement I-94. But if we did not, at least we could have used this parole in place. But this saves her money now because she don't have to apply for a parole in place. She has her I-94 now, finally, thank God, she can apply for adjustment. But this is some of the ridiculousness. And I encourage anyone. Now the I-94s are electronic, but it is such that even though it is electronic, sometimes you put in your information, you are not there. And sometimes you come in and you've gotten an I-94, you've lost it, and you send for a replacement I-94. They say that you never entered. And this is why it's so important. Take pictures of it. Give someone you're close to if you're always moving, because as immigrants, we move a lot and we lose our documents. I can't guarantee that when you apply for a replacement I-94, they're going to find you. And I can't guarantee when you put in your information on the electronic system that you're going to get your I-94 there. People are humans and things happen, when your information is being entered. So it is what it is. So I want to encourage anyone, now it's electronic. As you learn, put in your information and see if it actually comes up in the system, because not all the time you get that stamp in your passport. Yeah. But if you can't find your I-94, but you have that stamp from CBP, then you're good. But what happens to the people who never got that stamp and then they can't find you because you've lost your I-94 and they can't find you in the system? You have absolutely no proof of your entry. And that is sad. But that happens. All right. So hospital or medical records shows your continuity of physical presence here, your bank records. Let's go over some of the stuff that I'm going over, the stuff that USCIS says that it's acceptable to them to show your physical presence. We are looking at your union records. You have people who are not legally authorized to work, but they're in unions, So your union records, your pay stubs, your church records. Pastor will have who are members of his congregation, pay on the tithes and offering. But Lord, sometimes, Pastor, that the offering basket got come around too much now. Oh God, there's an offering for everything. We can't One Afrin can do it. All right. So your official records from your unions, your religious entities, so important, right? Bear with me 1 second. All right. I just want to check because I'm visually challenged and I'm just trying to see the screen here. Hold on 1 second. So let me just turn this down. And I want to see. All right. So Edward Hibbert says a mother gains citizenship in Barbados, apply for child visa in Jamaica. Edward, I'm not sure what you're asking. I'm not sure if you're making a statement or if you are in fact asking a question. All right, I'm gonna go fast because I've already started at 11 and I'm not breaking your day. All right, so let's look at stop living in the shadows. Go buy a car under your name. Yeah? I don't think anybody, immigrant, citizen, or otherwise, where you are contributing to purchase a home, your name should be on that deed. I'm gonna trust you. I'm gonna rely on the court system for me to prove constructive trust that I have an interest in this house. Let me show you a thief because a lot of people don't understand this. I'm gonna show you a thief. You are legitimately, because this does happen, you've saved your monies, you're pooling together with someone to buy a house, but they don't want your name on the deed. Then why am I buying this house with you? Because what this is telling me is we're gonna be in a court system later on. Yeah? And I want you to understand the concept of a thief. You are legitimately providing your monies towards the acquisition of a property. And this nonsense of you don't have a social security number, so your name can't go on. A lot of people got that line. Yeah. No. If you are getting my monies, another lady from Ghana, I thought she was very wise. She bought the house with the husband. She didn't have any papers, right? But I think she has a girlfriend at the time. Eventually got married and she wanted her name on the deed. And she's right. I put my hard-earned money into this. You couldn't have gotten this by yourself, yet still you don't want to add my name. And he's like, oh, Antoinette, add her name, yeah, because, yeah, like add her name. What's the difference? It's different when on with somebody who is not contributing, just sits there and read. But somebody who is aggressively working alongside with you, helping you to pay those bills. Come on. Let's get real. I don't know. Some people are different. Buy the car in your name. Stop putting motor vehicles in other people's name. You need to start acquiring things. It shows physical presence. And for people who've been praying for amnesty or whatever, you're not even helping yourself if there's a change for you to benefit. Open your own bank account. Stop putting your monies in other people's names. This is how you get robbed. One client, 50,000. All our life savings, and the daughter just swiped at the daughter of papers. So she's thinking, she's saving. Woman goes into her bank account because she's tallying, but the daughter kept everything, right? She did the statements online. All of a sudden, the statements changed to an online thing. It was paper first, then it changed to online. Because she had thief your money. All right. Mortgages, deeds, insurance policies, tax returns. You don't have an excuse as an immigrant that you can't file a tax return. You have the ability to file for a tax ID number. the tax ID number. Remember, we're trying to establish that you're here, right? The IRS will send one letter. It's one letter you get with the tax ID number. Save it. Take a picture of it. Save it to your email. Yeah? Because people save things on their phone, they lose the phone dies, they have nothing. Have 2 or 3 emails. Save your documents. I'm trying to ensure that you have proof of your physical presence, right? All right, so Edward says gain citizenship and US visa in Barbados, wants to apply for visa for the child in Jamaica. Is that possible? A mother gained citizenship in Barbados, applied for the child visa in Jamaica. She gained citizenship in Barbados, and she has a US visa in Barbados. Okay, now she wants to apply for a visa for the child in Jamaica. Is that possible? I see why not. The mother has a legitimate visa, and if she wants to travel to the United States with her child, the child has to have a visa to do so. I don't see the difficulty, Edward. All right. Now, Zalita says, hi, Antoinette, correct me if I'm wrong. Can dreamers who have been, I guess this has been in the US over 10 years and was inspected coming here, can that benefit to adjust status here without marriage? No. DACA is not a lawful path to citizenship. It gives you a work permit. Now, what the Biden administration did in order to benefit people, and this is like a secondary aspect to it, most of the focus has been on the married people, but what they're doing now in order to benefit American employers is they have been able to find someone who they wish to confer an employment visa. So what he's going to be doing is streamlining the DACA process, so those children will be able to get an employment visa once they found an employer who wants to sponsor them, and that employment visa now can lead to a green card. But just having DACA does not provide you with the ability on its very own of getting a green card. It's not a pathway to a green card. Thank God it gives the kids a work permit, because we have very progressive and ambitious children and we want to benefit them. So what he's done now is using the employers, if they found someone who has DACA and they want to sponsor them so that they can get a green card. That's how DACA kids who have no pathway to the green card will be able to now move to be able to get a green card. All right, so for the kids who are stepchildren, once you are that stepchild and you qualify, emphasis on child under 21, your parents married before your 18th birthday, and your immigrant mother or father was able to benefit from the parole in place, you now have the ability to get a green card. All right, I wanted to just get Larry, and we're going to be wrapping up. Yeah? 2 more minutes or 5. Immigration has now put forth on their website things that you can use to identify fraudulent people who are putting in your applications. Yeah? Well, with this, them don't tell you, nothing don't start, we're not accepting until August 19th, and the fees and the forms have not been out as yet. All right. They're telling you now, for people who are constantly being scammed, someone is providing you with immigration services, and the only people who are authorized by them to provide are attorneys and BIA representatives, right? The people said they're providing you a service, ask for a written agreement. Anybody who is legitimately providing you with any form of service should not be apprehensive to provide you with a written agreement. You have to be very cautious when you're dealing with someone and they don't want to put in writing the terms of what they are offering or what they have stated that they're going to be doing for you. So this is immigration now giving you guidance how to identify scammers, right? Any document they prepare for you, you'd be surprised. I have so many people come into my office, they have no copies of documents of what was prepared on their behalf. So immigration now is saying, look, get copies of the documents that these people prepare. And I don't want you to think that you're going to go into immigration and say, oh, I never read the documents. Non est factum, it's your signature. That's all they need. Is this your signature? That's it. No one cares you didn't read it. It was your responsibility to read those documents. That's not going to fly. All right. Ask for a written receipt. You're paying over this money because oftentimes when they're coming to prosecute these people, they're going to ask you for copies of the receipts. Yeah? Okay. What are the drawbacks now where you don't qualify for this application and you actually filed? If you do not qualify for the parole in place, what they have designated to benefit spouses of U.S. citizens who fit criteria such as you've been here for 10 years plus, you got married on or before June 17, 2024. Yeah. Your criminal history is going to be taken into play. If you put in this application and God forbid it is denied because you don't qualify, if they find you pose a threat to national security or public safety, let's not forget public safety, you can be detained, you can be turned over to the relevant federal agencies. You can also end up in removal proceedings. So this is why it's so important. Let an attorney look over your docs. All right. Now, what's your background that they're looking at? They're going to be looking at your immigration history. They have certain measures in place that will assist them to easily identify fraud. So they're going to be focusing on your background checks, your criminal history, your immigration history. It's a lot of public safety vetting. Yeah. So if you're a career criminal, be very careful of submitting any application. If you are deportable because of your criminal history, I would not encourage anyone to apply for this program. People, when this came out, they thought it was an open invitation to apply. Your criminal history is always important when it comes to immigration. I want you to focus on that. So it's not a carte blanche thing where everybody's just going to get the parole in place. Your immigration and your criminal history is very important. My father always said this, don't wake up a sleeping lion. If it is such that you're going to put in this application and but for your criminal history you may have qualified, don't think that this is the application for you. Yeah. If it is that you're going to be purchasing a one-way ticket, I would not encourage it. All right. Now, will this application benefit people? Absolutely. And it will benefit a lot of people who otherwise would not have been able to adjust their status. If you fit the criteria, should you put in this application? Absolutely. Why not? We want people to benefit from legal pathways to get their green cards, right? All right, so we have come to the end of the program. To make an appointment during the week, you can call 718-502-9137. Just a reminder, starting August 4th on Future FM at 11 o'clock, we're going to be having Fumi's Village, where it's a community-based program focused on family. Family being the traditional family. That's the only family I know. You're all welcome to, if you're in Bronx or you're in Westchester, I think you can get it in Rockland. You can tune in your dials to 98.9 FM. Nicola, put this in the chat for me, 98.9 FM, Future FM. You can also Google it, or you go on their website. I think you can Google Future FM and it will come up. Join us we're going to be on Sundays at 11 o'clock. So I will continue to do the YouTube at 9, but by 11 o'clock. So I'm going to be hopefully finishing by 10-ish. And at 11 o'clock, we'll have our community-based program, our Fumi's Village, where we focus, because we want to keep families together. Don't focus on the fact that I filed for divorce. I will tell you, I have sent clients home where they want to get a divorce. It's so funny. A gentleman came to me and he said, my sister referred me to you because she said when she came here to file for a divorce, you sent her home and told her to go and work on her marriage. So I'm the attorney where not every case I'm going to take, and not every marriage needs to terminate. And if my personal opinion, and you're free to go to another attorney, but I don't think I'm going to divorce you where, especially for people who've been together for years, and you're coming complaining, and the real person you should be complaining to is your pastor to help you fix your marriage. I'm not going to terminate marriages for nonsense. Well, what I deem to be nonsense. Yeah, and break up people's homes. That's not me. I love family and I love marriage. I can't tell you a wedding I have not been invited to and not gone. I've gone. I truly support families, and we want to, I think the traditional family, because I'm not a modern family. I tell you, I'm not a liberal, I'm a conservative. The traditional family is under attack. I think we need to encourage, especially the young people, that they can look towards and aim towards marriage. Yeah. And we need to have these children in stable homes. I think as a people and as a unit, we're in a crisis. So Sundays at 11 o'clock, it's going to be a calling program because it's a community-based program. We want a community to uplift the community. So it's not just me talking. I'm encouraging all my prior listeners, well, not the detractors. For you, I really don't want you to be a part of this. But for people who are positive and for people who believe in family, love family, yeah, we wanna get rid of this single parent household. We wanna bring back the men in our homes, and we wanna maintain a 2-family unit, right? So whatever we can do as a community to encourage people. So Sundays, if you don't live in the Bronx or Westchester, you can always listen. I think it goes to Rockland as well. You can always go online, Future FM 98.9 FM at 11 o'clock, and call in, and we'll discuss, and we will come together as a community how we're going to keep the family unit. Focuses on the traditional family. That's what I know. Sorry. But we're going to focus on keeping our families together. All right. Take care. Enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy your week. And I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.